everybody. I want to welcome the new subscribers. I think due to my lives, as well as the interviews I've been having over on Dark Sorcery, it is helping. I do have a Facebook group now called Dreams and Kinetic Powers. Welcome to all my new people. And what they say, new friends are silver, old friends are gold. Hello and welcome back to my oldies but goodies. I have not been making videos, sitting down to make videos for I don't know how many weeks now, because I've really been focusing on my lives. I've also been focusing on putting a couple of products on my, coffee account. The kit that I put together, which took several days, is finally completed with the pictures and the description in a box for the Astarte kit, for those who would like to really start working with her. Now, you do not have to forge a relationship with her to work with her once in a while. I do recommend, though, getting at least an oil. So I'm going to be putting the big bottle of Astarte oil as well as a smaller bottle on my coffee account. So, once I figure out, like I did on my Etsy store, how much the shipping would be and the size of the container I'm going to use, or how much it would weigh, does a lot of little things, right, that I have to enter, then that will be done. But, I've been falling behind on my mundane life, so I've been going through the mail. I had a couple of other things come up as well. My Dream Recall course, I unfortunately was misled by a salesman who took less money from me than he was supposed to. And I found out this is not such an easy path to take when you organically promote your course and don't pay for Facebook ads right away. So I do feel I was unfortunately allowing myself to be overexcited and misled, and so I've had to figure out how to protect my account and email them for a third time and deal with whatever it is I have to deal with to either get access to the course again and make payments, or just forget the whole thing. I don't know, because I only paid a very small amount of money. Okay. Now, I made a short and I talked about on my most recent live my Dollar Tree mini haul. So if you haven't seen those two things, I want to show you this beautiful lotus flower tea light candle holder. At Hobby Lobby, they have them in like a crystal prism or a glass prism, and they're at least $25, if not more. This is, to me, just as beautiful, made of glass, for $1.25, and it's in front of Ganesha. I also got an outside solar flare that looks like fire, and I got 2 sets of candles, one pink, one lavender. The lavender are ribbed and the pink ones are twisted. I might have to stop here and go get a drink. So I'm going to the Dollar Tree and I'm getting some pretty bottles and I'm getting some gift boxes to put the oils in. The interview I had on Dark Sorcery with Alfredo Martinez was about Black Moon Lilith. I didn't know what to talk about, so he said, well, I have some questions in mind. It worked out perfect because Black Moon Lilith and Astarte really do go together. They're very close in my chart in one particular house. So in working with Lilith, just about the same day as I started with Astarte, Goddess Astarte, in June 10th, 2021 already. 3 years of me working with Goddess Astarte and Black Moon Lilith. I first just printed out a picture because I was researching her while I was heavily involved in doing things for Goddess Astarte. I don't have the Etsy shop anymore because they take a higher commission out of the sales. I may end up getting my own website in the summer. I don't know. I'm also trying to work more so I can get a little extra money for the summer. What I'm discovering is that I cannot exercise twice a week while I'm working outside the home because I walk 2 miles at least, or climb a bunch of steps, like 70 to 150 steps a day. I have been taking the elevator more. I'm on here today primarily because I feel I have something new and important to talk about. And that is energy harvesting. I was led to learn about this and experience this over the past 2 years. And there's been many, many things that have happening in and around that. In the interim, I have started channeling a little bit, and I do have a notebook. One of the things that came up was talisman, very important. But what I'm learning is that there's different types of talismans. While Astarte is for protection, it's not necessarily the strongest form. There's something called a trap. I want to look into that and make it and sell it. I want to provide it for people, okay? You can use something and I guess perform a ritual. I don't know yet. I'm just starting on this new journey for psychic protection. And whatever negative energy sent to you or vampiric energy trying to harvest your energy will be trapped into that vessel. Okay? This one is for protection, to repel. However, when you're asleep, it's a totally different story. Now, maybe Astarte wanted me to experience those things. And when you are a shamanic practitioner, especially like me, we do have to experience the disease, if you will, the dis-ease, the ailment to a certain degree, or sometimes to a greater degree, and then discover how to reverse it, heal it, and not get it anymore. So I've talked about purging and recharging and burning a black candle every Saturday for protection, for banishing negative energies. But I recently had more information come to my mind, an epiphany, okay? Now, I'm just beginning this journey, so I'm not going to be able to really speak about it much because of my personal experience. So I have to be very vague for, I just don't know how long. However, I can tell you there are things that some people believe will protect them that won't. All right? Certain systems of spiritual belief that are said will protect you, and they don't. How do I know this? Well, when I lived in the haunted house, the haunted apartment, I think it was a house converted into apartments, if you remember. And all these horrible, horrible things were happening. This is where I began to first encounter lower level demons. Now there's a difference between daemons and demons. I've mentioned this before, but only briefly. I've also made a video that I said was one of the most important, if not the most important video I'd ever made. And it was at that time. I don't know what it was. But I feel like this one is even more. Because I've been privy to certain information, I've developed my psychic senses to a very high degree. And when something is shown to me, either in a dream or through a candle working, this is information that is really being shown to me, given to me. And it has to do with spiritual sight. We're so accustomed to working with our physical eyes in our physical mundane life that we don't really know how to see with our spiritual eye. When I moved into the haunted apartment, I was sitting on the sofa and I saw something floating from the bedroom to the kitchen. And by floating, I mean off the ground. It was in a monk's robe. I mean, it didn't pay me any mind. It just went from the bedroom through the hallway to the kitchen. And I thought, oh, how nice I have monks in the apartment. So yeah, as much as I had learned, and I had learned a lot, guys, my guides had told me at one point I was growing by leaps and bounds, and I was. A lot of paranormal things were coming to me and being shown to me. And I could see spirits when I went out to the local Indian mound. It was a park where I would take my kids to play, and then there was an Indian mound. And we just happened to go there one evening, and we saw spirits walking around. And I mean white, floaty spirits, 2 of them, inside this area that was roped off, where there was like one big mound. So all my clairs are opened now, since I've had a big, I've talked about my shamanic dream journey, okay? So, you know, here I was seeing this thing, and then I would hear the kitchen cabinet open. Or no, I didn't hear it, but I went in the kitchen and it was opened. I guess it went wherever it needed to go through there. Now, it wasn't until things began to escalate. I heard things falling over in the bathroom. Then I heard things falling over in the front bedroom. Not on the same day. These things were happening on different days and different times. As things began to escalate with other sounds and noises at night, in particular from the radiator, we were not only becoming sleep deprived, but something somehow was affecting us. Sleep deprivation in itself, if you know anything about that, can make you susceptible to any negative suggestion that a spirit might whisper in your ear. It's inaudible. You don't know what they're saying. You just hear, and then all of a sudden you feel like, you know, I'm just so tired and I hate this job and I'm really struggling right now in this new apartment and everything I have to do. Why don't I just jump over this railing? That's not me. Long gone from that. But it can be suggested. It can be tapped into. And I thought, yeah, I heard this, right? And then I had those thoughts. That's not me. So I clocked in, went to work, and as soon as I got down there, I'd say about 45 minutes later, I just felt so different, back to feeling free and light again as I was ending my toxic marriage. But, you know, after things were escalating and they were turning on car alarms and then the fire alarm, it got more and more and more. I had a friend and her boyfriend come over, and he was wearing a cross, and he claimed he was psychic and tested out somewhere, and I guess he was reading tarot, giving readings, and anyway, he made these claims, and so he was standing there trying to exorcise my bedroom because they had broken my mirror. I had a mirror at the foot of my bed and the pentagram over my head to psychically protect me when I was asleep. And one day it cracked on the corner. So they came over, and as he was trying to exorcise the bedroom and get rid of these things, you know, that I had seen floating along with other spirits, a perfume bottle was thrown at his head. It bounced off the wall in front of me, and I said, "What was that?" And he said, I guess he went like this, and my other friend to the left of me said, "He just got hit in the head with your perfume bottle." And this was when after he called on the name and the authority of Jesus Christ, he got hit in the head with a perfume bottle. I'm telling you, there are too many things in this world that we think will protect us that don't. That's all I have to say about that particular incident. Well, then the chain that was around his neck with the cross on it, he said was on fire, right? Like very hot. And I looked, I said, "Oh yeah, your neck is red." And we got in the car and we were driving, and he said his neck was still hot. And so I looked, and so I put my hand on it. And again, like I've talked about, imagined the white light. And then he said, "Oh, it's better." And then I looked, and the red mark was gone. He said, "How the hell did you do that?" I said, "I've told you several times I'm a healer." They, you know, it's hard to believe, I guess, until you experience it. And that's not necessarily why I was being tortured. These things wanted anybody who was living there tortured. Hold on, I'm going to get a drink. Okay, in that particular instance, these things were trying to torture and destroy the lives of people by getting them to, you know, lose their hope, kill themselves, or drink themselves into drunkenness where they have fights, which was going on within the neighborhoods in that area. I've talked about that. I started writing an ebook, but I couldn't finish it. You know, I didn't want to attract anything like that by reliving it. So I ended up breaking the lease. I had to go look for apartments, got my tax refund, went to one area where a friend had lived, looked at several floor plans, and chose one. And so then I told them, you know, after everything that's been going on, and they knew what had been going on. There were multiple complaints. The fire department finally gave them a citation because they were coming out for false alarms and had been told to get it fixed. The landlord said she did try to get it fixed, but was told there was nothing wrong with it. And I was standing right there when she got her citation. So, you know, I told them we can't take it anymore. You know, and I wrote that, and nothing ever happened. They did not sue me or try to collect the last few months' rent. Hey, Jade. Yeah, what are you doing? There's a fire there. Be careful. So with what, you know, we had regained our strength. I was sleeping in the living room and got a company to actually come and help move me for free. So we were up on the 4th floor, and it was very peaceful, and we were able to recover and heal. However, then we saw a shadow person. Just one night. I don't know what it was, guys. So that particular instance, like I said, was just causing such noise disturbance and sleep deprivation for torture. I can't say there was any energy harvesting being done, because there wasn't. There were suggestions being implanted, and we were told not to fight anymore. No matter what, stay calm and do what we can to laugh. And that really seemed to keep them at bay. Now, on to energy harvesting. From there, I'd moved to my mobile home, where I had 5 quiet years. And I embarked upon more in my study and practice, and working with different entities and dimensions. And after the pandemic, after the schools closed and we were in lockdown for a few months, I went and I got a bigger apartment because of everything that was going on in the building where I was living. So you see where sometimes you just have to pick up and leave. Nothing's being done. You tell them about it, and they do eventually get a citation. I wrote a letter to the previous apartment after that about everything that was going on and how I had repeatedly told management. After I moved away, they sold the building and they started getting rid of the riffraff. But it wasn't until I had already decided to move that they got rid of all of the squatters and the drug dealers. So, yeah, sometimes you just have to move away, but you can write an anonymous letter, or you can make it with your name on it. You know, I'm spending all this money. I'm not being listened to. I'm not being heard. And I can't put up with this anymore. You're gaslighting me all the time. I see and I smell pot at the top of the stairs when I come into my non-smoking building. I can't handle that. I have enough respiratory problems. So now I had created my moonstone talisman in my mobile home. By the way, I think that the dark moon was either yesterday or the day before, and we are entering Taurus. I'm so excited. When the moon goes into Cancer and we're under the constellation of Taurus, I usually have some good luck related to my residence, because I had made a talisman with Taurus, the moon, and Aldebaran. This is real silver, and this is a milky moonstone. And before I was led to get up and go out and look at apartments, even though we were in lockdown, this thing was poking me. And the moon had been in Cancer, and Taurus was in the heavens. It was in May. And I quickly found an apartment close by and decided I had dreamed about it. So I had received a dream, and that was the one that I needed to go to. However, after I moved, I got settled in for about a year, and I began to experience this energy harvesting, okay? Excuse me. I did have my talisman, but I wasn't really wearing it when I was out on my patio. So you have to be aware of when your guard is down and who might be around, right? Just to look at you, to gaze at you for whatever reason. Some people are jealous of your car, if you have a Mercedes or whatever, okay? And people have a tendency to look for a little bit too long than they should because there's curiosity, right? But when they're doing that, they're actually connecting to you, the energy of your car, the energy in your car, and to you. That's why we say it's not polite to stare. But people do, you know, they covet other people's things, what they're wearing, their furniture, their house, their car, this and that. It's a tapping into you, and the only thing we can really do about it is to put a white light around us to reflect, and also put that white light around your car. You can do a ritual for your car. You can put a gigantic pentagram over the top of it with your finger. Visualize it vibrating with white light and just have it kind of float down and up through the car, up and down. There's other things you can do, such as a too hot to touch spell. I have a fiery wall of protection oil that I put on things. You can put that on the threshold of your garage. There's a variety of things you need to do to try to cloak your house, your car, and it's really kind of only limited to your imagination. But there are other things that you can employ. I think there's witches' bottles that you can put out in your yard or in a pot maybe to absorb negativity or even attract good luck and money. You can put a fake $1,000 bill under your doormat to attract money to you, to your house. Did I tell you I just got back from a 25-minute walk around the lake? Yeah. So you have to think about doing this because you need to have some type of a vessel that's going to catch and trap and hold negative energies from people's eyes, right? Looking at your yard, looking at your house, looking at your car. But I want to find out how to make a vessel that's smaller that I can carry in my pocket or even in my purse. You could even maybe put it around your neck, make a long string and stick it under your blouse or your jacket. Some magicians have a variety of talismans around their neck. Clifford Hartley Lowe has several. He said, I have them on all the time. Almost all the time, right? Every day. He's also got protective rings on his fingers. And he does psychic protection work for himself and for his house and I think his bank accounts. I mean, he's just always doing things. So how this is actually done, I have not yet discovered. I'm just starting my research. You know, I do a lot of research, if you don't know that. That is a part of my rising in Pisces. I found out. It's one of the reasons why I do so much spiritual research. I'm a spiritual researcher, And that is why I am always doing spiritual things. So I'm just beginning to research how and other ways that different types of energy harvesters would do this. Okay, right now we're just talking about coveting somebody else's things, curious about what they have. We might want to emulate it or have a goal to get something like that, but we're also psychically tuning into it. And perhaps that's a very, very mild form of energy harvest. You know what I mean? Connecting, tapping into, maybe it's a form of psychic vampirism, I don't know. But what I'm really concerned about is the heavy duty energy harvesting that some people can do. And I don't know exactly how, except they have a stronger ability to do that. And some of them can see your aura. A man I met over the summer when I was moving up from the storage room came over to help me. He told me, I came over to help you because I could see you're a good person. I said, really? How could you see that? He said, I can read auras. I said, oh, really? Yeah. I said, well, okay, what color do you see? He said, I could see you were of light. You were not, darker or gray or brown or anything. I said, what color is it? He said, light. Now, I don't know if he meant a lighter shade of yellow or what, but that's what he said. And I thought, okay, that's very interesting. All kinds of people can be spiritual. It doesn't mean they're holy, okay? This guy was a jerk. Never grew up years ago, we never really addressed bullying in school like we do now. This guy was a bully. He told me more than once he'd always been with women who either drank or the family drank. One of them, the family owned a bar, and everybody drank, he said, every day. I said, oh my God, you've been around a lot of very unhealed people. And he's like, oh yeah, well, everybody drank, they owned a bar. So in dismissing it and choosing to stay in that environment, he was exposed to a lot of negativity. So he's either a very, very unhealed empath. He did speak about love. He said after his wife died, he psychically said, I love you. And he heard her say, I love you too. So these people can be spiritual, but they can be tapped into a negative side. And they can be very, very unhealed because they've adopted behaviors from those around them or their role models who were, also not working on behavior, negative thought habits, okay? Negative thought habits, negative habits in general. And I know the awareness for alcohol has been raised since, I'd say for the past 35 years at least. I don't think there's really any excuse for dismissing it. It's not good. And I don't think people really understand exactly. When you have things happen as a young person because of alcohol, you know it's not good. But you may not be told you need to go to Al-Anon, you're an ACA, and start that journey for at least 3 months. And you realize you're not alone. The obsession you've had from the energy harvester who was the alcoholic, and the demands for your attention and the selfishness. It's not just you going through that. And when you don't have somebody else to talk about it, you can't talk about that at work necessarily. You might not have enough family or friends to really talk about it. Then you need to find out or be told or ask questions, and then you will learn there are support groups. There are support groups for teenagers of alcoholics, and then there's the other one for adults. And it was a big relief for me when I first went, just to see how many people were there. I said, I finally felt like I was not alone in the boat. I knew my sister was in there with me, and she had been, so she told me I needed to go. Now here's where we get on the subject of low-vibing spirits that get attached to people that are on substances. They're either being led to it, drawn to it, or they just have a personality that wants it because they need an escape and they need a crutch. They're not only relieving their stressors, but they're still harvesting. There's a psychologist here on YouTube by the name of Danish, and he's from India. He dedicates his psychology practice to helping children of narcissists, and a lot of them do get attached to substances. One of the videos he made that I thought was a little bit far-fetched at the time was that there are demons attached to these people. Now, I could certainly see where negative, low-vibing spirits, parasites, would be attracted to low-vibing people who have such a low sense of self-worth. They do, and they feel like they are not full-grown, they are not adult, they're stuck in an event in childhood, they don't get past it. And because they're not growing, it's like there is a space there, and maybe I've mentioned this, maybe I deleted it, where something can come in and attach. Now, when you drink, if you drink on a regular basis, you drink a lot, you have a habit of over drinking and getting intoxicated, alcohol pokes holes in your aura. We all know how our inhibitions can be reduced and bad things can happen, but it can also allow negative spirits or parasites to enter and attach themselves to you. And if you don't stop drinking, if you continue to drink every night, even if it's one beer, and then you get drunk on the weekends, there is no recovery time. So, now in talking about parasites, this becomes a physical thing as well as a spiritual thing. I believe it can start spiritual and then become physical. And I think I did talk about this on one of my most recent lives. And this is why, or one of the reasons why, if you have a magical practice, you have to think about keeping your body in shape, eating as well. Learn what it means to eat well, and make these choices a priority. You see, I have lemon in my water. I haven't had an alcoholic beverage in over a year, and I'm not saying I wouldn't want to have one on my birthday, but I just haven't had one for over a year, I would say. Now, there's been a couple of rituals I've done where I've offered wine to my spirits, and I did have a sip. A sip! That's different. When we had moved our mobile home years back, mobile homes are not really meant to be moved. Okay, so we were having plumbing problems, and the front bathroom was backing up, and the back bathroom wasn't really flushing properly. So we tried to solve the problem by getting bigger pipes. So we're under the, took off the skirting, and several men were going under in there to change the pipes. And in the process, of course, we were trying to clear away all of the feces. I was so disgusted by the whole thing. This had happened twice. The second time I went to a motel. But one night, I dreamed. I saw in my mind's eye 3 strange creatures going under where that feces was, and then coming out, and then going in and coming out. And I got up and I told my then husband what I saw. And I said, I'm going to go pour more bleach. I don't know how much chemicals or bleach you guys put under there. This is, it had seeped into the walk-in closet of the front bedroom. So I was going in there and I was squirting bleach, you know, on the parquet all around, and spraying mold and mildew stuff and just everything I could think of to neutralize and eliminate all of that bacteria and such. And yeah, that's when I realized that there are spirits for everything. Just like when we're not getting cleared out enough from our kidneys, our bladder, and especially our colon, the feces, right? That we need to be having it move out every single day. Twice a day would be better. After every meal. I don't care what you hear. We're supposed to be going after every meal. And it's easy to get backed up even if you are going once a day. Because if you're gaining weight, then you really need to do a cleanse. So do a body cleanse of some kind every 3 months at least, along with drinking lemon water or apple cider vinegar in water to help move everything out and get rid of parasites in your body. This can help to get rid of any spiritual parasites that could be making you foggy in the head. But there are people that have a strong ability to harvest. Now, in this concept of low-level beings really either being attached or just being in the narcissist, okay? Many comments on many videos about people who have experienced these things. One person says it's an invisible phenomenon, and you don't know until you get away and you suddenly don't have a cold anymore. You suddenly don't get the flu anymore. You're not as tired. You feel lighter. You have more energy. That you don't see how they're doing it because they're subconsciously, unconsciously taking from you. And it's not anything that they are really conscious of. Now, maybe some of them are. Those that do practice magic may be fully aware of what they are doing. The person that I was living with, my space is running out. This is part 1, okay? I'm going to continue researching. I'll make a playlist and I will update you. Stay calm, carry on. Start thinking about getting a talisman. Namaste. Blessed be. I will talk to you soon.